What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. Guys, I don't know if you've heard the news yet, but this has been going on for about a month now. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason. Guys, I still have 67 teams to go, but we're done with the Power 5 conference. This is my last Power 5 conference recap and standings predictions, and it's for the Pac-12 conference. So if you are a fan of a team, whether it's an independent team or a group of 5 team, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you know when your team gets uploaded. But other than that, guys, if you could, like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, share my videos. Whatever you would like to do to help support the channel would mean a lot to me. But this is my Pac-12 recap and standings predictions. The Pac-12, a conference that for many has kind of been seen to be that bottom conference when you look overall in the Power 5 realm. However, this year the Pac-12 has some real contenders and some teams that can push towards spots in the college football playoffs. So, again, the way these work, I'm going to go ahead and go through my recap. We're going to go ahead and go through team by team, kind of where I feel each team lands, and then overall a conference championship prediction as well. The Pac-12 is getting rid of divisions this year, so it will be a true 1 versus 2 in the Pac-12, much like they're doing in the Big 12. Standings in 3, 2, 1. There you go. There are my projected standings in case you haven't watched my videos about the Pac-12 conference. But here you go. We're going to go starting from so of course 12th ranked team is going to be on your right at the very bottom, and the top ranked team is going to be on your left at the very top. So kind of goes opposite way. We're going to go bottom up, move to the other column there as well, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So Colorado is that bottom team in the Pac-12 conference. This is a Colorado team that I think has a lot of work to do, much like Arizona. Although I do think Arizona is going to get better this year. I don't think it's going to be nearly enough to make a bowl game or anything, but maybe Arizona goes and wins a game that maybe they shouldn't be able to win, things like that. I got Colorado 1-8 in conference, Arizona 2-7 in conference. I have each team winning at least one of their non-conference games. But boy, I mean, Colorado, Arizona, those are two teams that have really, really tough non-conference slates. So go ahead and go look. I mean, no game on those conference slates will be easy for any of those two teams right there. So definitely going to be an interesting little battle for last place, if you will. I think Colorado gets it. I think Arizona finishes 11th in the conference. So Arizona improves from where they've been in previous years. Otherwise, I have Arizona State down here at 4-8. I do have them losing a non-conference game, and I only have them going 2-7 in conference. Now, this, for the longest time, looked like one of the more promising teams in the Pac-12. They were starting to take steps in the right direction. They were taking steps up, and then this offseason happened, right? Recruiting violations. They get hit with a lot of transfers leaving, and they did what they could to kind of bring guys back in. They're bringing transfers in as well, like Emory Jones at quarterback, among some other names as well. But just the amount of talent that this team has lost, along with the recruiting violations and all the off-the-field stuff this team has had to deal with, Arizona State could be one of those teams that surprises a lot of people and maybe finishes 3rd or 4th in the Pac-12. But it also could be a team like I'm projecting them to be and just not very good at all. And I have them 10th in the Pac-12 conference. Cal, this is a Cal team that, again, in recent years, for the past couple of years, has kind of struggled to get over the hump under Justin Wilcox. And it's a Cal team that losing a lot to the draft, losing a lot to the transfer portal, a lot of players leaving that program. They're bringing Jack Plummer in to be that quarterback, but I'm just not all that confident in Cal. I'm really not confident that they'll get over the hump. I think they're also going to lose a non-conference game in there somewhere. I have them going 3-6 in conference. For Cal, it may be the end of Justin Wilcox's time at Cal after the season if my projections pan out this way. But Cal could be a bowl team if everything pans out right. But again, that's a Cal team losing a lot. Stanford, I have them at 5-7. They were a miserable 3-9 last year. But I feel like Stanford, I have them at 5-7. Feel like Stanford could be that team that maybe surprises in the Pac-12 a little bit. They went 3-9 last year. I think a lot of people are going to write this team off. They have an NFL talent in Tanner McKee at the quarterback position. Lots of talent on offense, on defense, and they're bringing in transfers to help out with the defense that was very bad a season ago. So Stanford, I think, improves a couple wins. I don't know that it's going to be enough to get to a bowl game, but I got Stanford sitting right here at 8th in the Pac-12 conference, and I got Washington at 7th in the Pac-12. They're bringing in Kalen DeBoer over from Fresno State. I think that's a fantastic hire. I love what Kalen DeBoer did at Fresno State, especially last year with how good that Bulldog team was. Now coming over to Washington. This is a Washington team that, just go ahead and look at what they did last year. I mean, after that loss to Montana, I mean, there was really no hope for this Washington team last year. And yeah, they're losing talent off this team. But Kalen DeBoer, I think, comes in. He has a very, very good coaching style. I like the way that Kalen DeBoer approaches the game of football. And I think Washington is going to have a bounce-back year. How big of a bounce-back year that is will remain to be seen. But I got him at 6-6 here and 7th in the Pac-12. A couple teams here at 7-5, 5-4 in the conference is Oregon State and Washington State. So Oregon State and Washington State, two teams right there that, you very well could look at there and say those are two sleepers in the Pac-12 conference. And 7-5, kind of around what both of these teams did a season ago. But Oregon State, I think, has the potential to pull off some upsets. Jonathan Smith has done a really good job there as of late. And Oregon State is a program that continues to trend upward. And I think the Beavers are going to be a very dangerous team, especially to some teams that have to go play them on the road this year. It's an Oregon State team that I think is going to be very, very dangerous in 2022. I think a team, though, that's going to be more dangerous is the Washington State Cougars. I have a lot of thoughts on the Cougars, but it all, I think, or not all, but I think a lot of it depends on Cameron Ward. How does Cam Ward fit into this Washington State system? Can he use the weapons that he has? There's another transfer from Incarnate Word at wide receiver. His name is escaping me at this point, but he played with Cam Ward at Incarnate Word. I know, Cam Ward from Incarnate Word. Just go with it, okay? But I mean, those two teams right there, Oregon State and Washington State, wouldn't surprise me to see them higher in the standings, maybe with a record like 8-4, possibly 9-3 if they are that big of sleeper teams. I got them both sitting here at 7-5, 5-4 in conference. I think both of them lose a non-conference game this year. They both have a non-conference game that going to be a little bit difficult for them to win. But I like where both of those teams are at. And I like both of these teams coming in to 2022. They are my 6th and 5th ranked team in the Pac-12, respectively. Then you got UCLA right here at 9-3, 6-3 in conference. UCLA, I think it's going to be a similar season to what we saw UCLA do last year. UCLA, pretty good offense in the Pac-12, one of the better offenses in the Pac-12. A defense that was also pretty good, shaky at times, but this is a UCLA team that no one in this conference should take lightly anymore. Chip Kelly has done a fantastic job, has this program absolutely moving in the right direction, and I think the talent's there for UCLA to be a top 2 team in the Pac-12, make it to the Pac-12 championship game. I think that's a very grand possibility for the UCLA Bruins. I think it's a phenomenal possibility with all the talent that's on this team. I think they go 9-3, 6-3 in conference, much like they probably should have done last year if it weren't for a certain team in Fresno, California. But I think UCLA improves their win total by 1 this year, and I think can absolutely push for a spot in that Pac-12 championship game. Back to Washington State for a minute. I think Washington State can push for a Pac-12 championship as well. I think the conference would have to beat itself up a little bit, and Washington State going to have to pull off some games that they, quote, shouldn't win. But could see Washington State, if they prove to be just a ginormous sleeper, could be a team that could make a sneaky run towards the conference championship game. Crazier things have happened. Oregon sits here at 3rd in the Pac-12 conference with a record of 7-2, 9-3 in conference. Look, the story with Oregon, how does Dan Lanning fit in? And Oregon losing a lot of guys, yes. And of course, the tragic news that has surrounded this Oregon program. Again, my thoughts and prayers go out to all the teammates, family members, coaches, close friends, classmates, anything like that. What a tragic accident. That kid had such a bright future, ahead of him, and it's sad to see him go so early. It's always sad to see players go this early. So definitely my thoughts and prayers are with the Oregon program and that kid's family there as well. But Oregon, there's no easy way to segue from what I had to talk about there. But Oregon should be a pretty solid team in the Pac-12 this year. I don't necessarily think, scratch that. Restart. I think Oregon's a team that, again, can push for a spot in the Pac-12 title game. They've been there for however many years in the past, and they can get there. They can push. But there are a couple of teams that are standing in their way. The first problem is the USC Trojans and that dynamic offense, or that projected dynamic offense. I mean, USC probably got the deepest wide receiver room in the entire country. You could make the debate about that. There's some other teams out there like Ohio State and some other teams out there as well that could push for that conversation. But I think USC, with all the transfers they're bringing in, with all the guys they're bringing back as well, minus Drake London, that's a phenomenal wide receiver room. They get a phenomenal quarterback in Caleb Williams, and they have a phenomenal offensive mind as a head coach in Lincoln Riley. So they're kind of standing in the way of Oregon there as well. I think Oregon's still going to be a solid team. Dan Lanning, I think, is going to figure it out pretty quickly at Oregon. They might have a little bit of a wake-up call, kind of slap in the face in Georgia the first week. We'll see how that game goes. Georgia's quite the heavy favorite up to this point. But USC, I have as second in the Pac-12, clinching a spot in the Pac-12 title game. But then Utah is that number one team in the Pac-12. And if you guys watched my Utah video that went out as of uploading this earlier today, this is a Utah team that I'm really high on. I love Cam Rising. I love Tavion Thomas. I love Clark Phillips. I think they have the best tight end duo in the entire nation. I think this is a Utah team that can do great, great things this year. And I think your Pac-12 Conference Championship game is going to look like Utah, USC, maybe throw in Oregon, UCLA, possibly an outside shot at Washington State if the conference maybe beats up on itself a little bit. But I think more likely than not, Utah, USC, Oregon, kind of any combination of those three teams probably going to end up being your Pac-12 Championship game in 2022. However, again, UCLA, I think they can throw their hat into the ring. I think Washington State, if everything goes right, can throw their hat into the ring as well. But again, more likely than not, I'd probably have said this, the third time? Utah, USC, Oregon, probably your three most likely teams to make the Pac-12 championship. I went with Utah as my number one team. Look, again, as I said, I'm really high on this Utah Utes team. I think they're going to be really good this year. And USC. I think that's going to be your conference championship game this year. Again, the Pac-12 gets rid of division, so you get a true 1 versus 2. And although I'm projecting USC to be at 10-2, this could be a rematch. Both teams could come in here at 11-1, or maybe one team comes in 12-0, the other team comes in 11-1. The Pac-12 championship really this year can be a battle between two teams that are trying to get into the college football playoff. Right now, I'm projecting it to be Utah and USC up to this point. Again, I'm really high on the Utes, and I think USC, while they have some defensive things to figure out, now they did bring in Alex Grinch, the defensive coordinator. Don't think he's going to fix everything right away this year, but USC, that defense should improve this year, and we know how dynamic that offense should be for USC in 2022. But Utah, USC, that's my conference championship game right there. I think this is going to be a very interesting season to watch in the Pac-12 conference, because I think for the first time in quite a bit, the Pac-12 has two or more, in my opinion, three legitimate shots at making the college football playoff. It used to be kind of Oregon, and then who else is there? Now you got Utah. USC should be able to be back. Oregon's there as well. This is going to be an interesting conference to watch in 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed all my predictions on the Power 5 conferences. Starting tomorrow, we're going to open up with the FBS Independents, kind of doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a weekend of that. And then we're right back into it with the Group of 5 conferences. So remember to play hard, tailgate harder, like, comment, subscribe, everything like that. I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.